office hours, where we are coming in live from not only the trade show floor in Las Vegas later today, we are also coming in from Seattle. Courtney's in Hollywood, Nigel's in Texas, I believe. It looks like he's back, and Ronnie is in Norway. Mickey's in the Philippines, so we got an all-star cast here, and then we'll be jumping over to Vegas on the trade show floor. So office hours of the show where we answer your questions. For those of you who are new around here, Mukana is the way to ask questions, and you can also ask at Office Hours Global. And Courtney, you're going to be our reader today. Go ahead and kick us off with our first question.
Certainly, Guy. First up comes from Andy Kokendorfer in Vieira, Florida. He says, perhaps I missed it in Andy's demo, but does Zoom Tiles support lower third graphics and custom backgrounds?
Go ahead, Nigel.
Well, I think we have to remember it's a demo. It's a proof of concept. And as fabulous as it looked, what it supports today and what it will support going forward is two different things. The other thing is we don't really know how it's going to integrate into the whole of the rest of the Zoom. So whether you can use Chromo's fabulous graphics as part of this, I think are all elements to be discussed. I don't believe it had lower thirds. I don't think they demoed changing backgrounds except colors. Ronnie, I think, was digging into that as well. But, there's a lot of questions on tiles this morning. You saw a brief flash of what will be, but what will actually be productized, we may have to wait and see.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah, so I had a little chat with some small birds that pointed me in the direction of the drop-down menu for the background. And as you can see, there is a drop-down where it says color, and there will be other options behind that drop-down menu. So let's just wait and see, like Nigel said.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Andy come and do a full second hour on some of the things that were unveiled. Man, he just hit it out of the park yesterday. For those of you who didn't see yesterday's episode, Andy did a fabulous, about 20-minute demo live from the trade show floor, and he showed tiles. We also got a sneak peek at it at Zoomtopia behind the scenes as Adam Tao was using it. That's one of the benefits of jumping into after hours is sometimes you can see cool stuff like if you get an alert in Discord. So a couple things for those of you that are new to the show, we have a Discord where you can go in there and you can set up alerts that will let you know when something cool is going on in our little after hours, which is a 24-hour Zoom that you could jump in and chat with other folks. So let's go ahead and jump into the next question.
All right, another one comes in from About Tiles from Robert Shoji here in Los Angeles. He says, can the panelists discuss Zoom Tiles, when this new feature will be available, or when will this new feature be available?
I think we just, actually, Ronnie, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't know. That's the correct answer. And we'll let you know as soon as we know. It will be sometime in the future.
Go ahead, Courtney.
I got a good idea for you, Andy, if you're listening, is to have a link so that you can say, now with AI. You can have a link that has generative AI and will generate a background with, you just say, make a background with 5 empty frames. They could do some nice filigree picture frames in a certain aspect ratio and make 5 of them. And then you can just map your tiles directly into that fancy generated frame. So now with AI, you can put that sticker on there. Yeah.
I mean, what Adobe showed off, if you guys haven't seen it in yesterday's show, we talked a little bit about it, but yesterday, Adobe unveiled some of the Firefly AI stuff that they're working on that's going to come into Premiere. So it's exciting because I've had this problem over and over again where you get a couple frames. You just need a few more frames, and somebody who is a little too quick to stop record, when they yelled cut, they didn't just let it roll. I like to let it go for a full 5-10 seconds after, just to, in the edit process, so I have a little tail, we call it. So you want heads and tails. You don't want to just make somebody have to stretch something out at the beginning with time. Because you could raise your blade off a frame and then stretch it out, but then it's a still frame. So generative AI, even if there was a zoom, it could actually do the zoom, which is just mind-boggling to think about. So I'm excited about that. And answer the question, there is a beta that you could sign up for. So we'll put a link in the chat. Andy released it. It's an Asana form that you fill out, and you can get access to the beta as soon as it's released. So that is the place if you want to know when it's coming out. Sign up for the Asana form, and you will get the announcement and get access. All right, let's go to the next question.
Next question comes in from Douglas Carmichael. He says, has anyone tried out the PickVM? It looks like a cost-effective option for adding remote management to hardware that doesn't natively support it. And he has a link.
I had a little bit of time to look at some of the videos this morning on it. It's basically a Raspberry Pi that you can even access the BIOS. So it's like a KVM. And one of the gentlemen that was showing it off, he's an IT guy, and he was saying that he could actually reboot machines. So it's not only like we could do this with other types of, I'm sure Nigel actually knows a lot about these abilities over IP to reset a power strip. So that's one thing. But to be able to actually KVM, that's what this device does. And it could be a little dangerous if in the wrong hands, because if you think about it, somebody has full control down to the root level. And it will even mount USB drives. So you could make it mount a drive. So a lot of the IT things that you would have to do physically on site, you can now do remotely. So the example this gentleman gave was he had COVID and he was in a hotel and he was able to access and still do work that was at his shop with this Pi KVM. So I'm going to dig in a little more. I have a couple Pis laying around that I could put to good use. So thanks for bringing this up. Let's go to the next question.
Coming in from New York City, David Brady asks, he's got a MacBook Pro M2 with a Sonnet box hooked up to it and a DeckLink Duo, only able to see signals on taps 2 through 4. 1 shows nothing. All taps set for individual output. Firmware is updated. I'm stumped. Any other troubleshooting ideas?
Let's jump over to Norway. Ronnie.
There could be different reasons for this, but I'm pretty sure Brady have seen this sketch where you actually have the first SDI connector closest to the main board is actually a reference in. I've done this a lot of times and I can't help it. I'm starting to plug in outputs from the first plug and then leave this and think this is the reference, but it's the opposite way. Other than that, I think you might have a faulty card if that's not the reason. And I can't see any other things, but maybe Mickey has something to suggest.
Yo, Mickey in the Philippines, what you got?
Hey, so within the Blackmagic desktop video application where you configure the card, there is within the output mapping, you can select, you can set the card to have the outputs be paired together as key and fill outputs. So you would see there, say in the output mapping of SDI1, it can be selected as either SDI1 only or SDI1 and 2, which would pair them together as key and fill. So just make sure SDI1 is selected as only SDI1, SDI2 is only 2, and 3 and 4.
There you go. Hopefully that solves that problem. Thank you, Mickey. Let's go ahead and go over to Alexander's question.
Yep, coming in from Alexander Knight in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. He says these generic monitors are mounted to some Manfrotto arms. What model? Anyone have an idea on how these are mounted to the road case? And he has a link to a picture there. Someone on Instagram.
Mickey?
So yeah, Genelec has a large selection of mounting solutions for it. I think they may be using this stand plate. They come and they're available in the for the 10 series all the way up to the 50 series. And again, they have a lot of selection of mounting solutions. Majority of these are made by K&M, so you know they're pretty darn sturdy. These mounting plates, what they do is they take the place of the standard ISO mounts that come with the Genelecs. So these rubber mounts that come with it, the stand plates replace these and give you a 3/8 thread to mount onto, say, the Manfrotto Magic Arm that they're using there, and you can mount the Magic Arm to the case using like a super clamp. Alternatively, the other mounting solutions usually go into for the smaller Genelecs, they mount on, they have 2 mounting threads at the back. The larger ones have 6, and you can use one of their OEM mounts or fabricate your own.
And Mickey, on those Genelecs, I was kind of surprised to see them out in the field like that. Is that common? Because I usually see stuff more rugged, like Fostex or something, just that you don't care about as much as some nice Genelecs. Do you see those out on live gigs, or mostly just in
Not so
studio?
much. And not so much Genelecs. I see the more affordable monitors. The Fostex ones are really more of utility monitors, in my opinion. Like you just need to hear something, or you just use it for communications, something like that. But if you need something reference level, I typically see like Yamaha HS5s or HS8s. But there are still there are a lot of productions that bring Genelecs to front of house. It's just a matter of budget.
For sure. And another option, Alexander, that you might want to look at is Triad Orbit has a full line of mounts for those speakers. And this is just blowing my mind that a question could come in from Canada, which actually it's not that far from me. I'm in Seattle. Port Coquitlam's not too far. But then we got Mickey in the Philippines picking up one of the actual items. So we got two different countries going on and the actual item being shown. So that's pretty amazing. Let's go ahead and jump over to Hollywood to the next question.
Coming in from Gordon Lake here in, maybe I jumped one. Nope. Gordon Lake here in Los Angeles. There we go. Blackmagic cameras use a 5-pin XLR talkback headset for comms. What is a good entry-level single muff headset?
Go ahead, Courtney.
Well, I don't know. I looked at these, and if you're looking at entry-level, Clearcom, of course, all the major comms manufacturers have their own headsets. I found these on B&H that are only $95, that are 5-pin headsets. They're called EarTech Max 4G, and most of the rest of the ones I found are in the $300 to $400 range per headset for a single muff. So it gets kind of pricey if you get the name brand headsets that are designed for RTS or Clearcom or any of the other comm manufacturers. But at B&H, you can get that one for $95. So that's pretty reasonably priced.
Of course, it's the buy once, cry once thing, though. If you're going to hold on to it for a while, you might want to look at what's in a rental house or what gets beat up on and trashed on, because those guys usually know what to replace with what. But yeah, we used some of the aviation headsets when they first came out, and those were just too heavy. They call it the caliper pressure. Yeah, they're a little much. Mickey, is there some headsets that you might suggest on that are 5-pin XLR?
The EarTech ones are pretty good. I'm a big fan of the Sennheiser. They have a line, and I don't recall it off the top of my head what they call it, but they have a line that is essentially the HMD line, but wired for comms, so like 3-pin, 4-pin, 5-pin, and they come with replaceable cables, so you can use it on different intercom systems.
There you go. All right, let's jump over to the next question.
From Anawahi, from Black Bear Marshall, from I can never do these Hawaiian names. I'm sorry. I apologize. Thank you. Great basic descriptions of digital audio routing and how Dante and AES 67 might interoperate. Didn't really answer the question of how they integrate or interrelate at all. If Dante is still a wrapper for AES, or could it really work without AES? Please explain part.
Ooh, good question. Mickey, you want to jump on this one?
Yeah, I don't fully understand what the question is, but both Dante and AES carry PCM audio streams at the encoded bit depth and also the sample rate that it's set to, and you have some flexibility with that on Dante, but even more flexibility within AES67. But they are certainly different standards. It's just that with Dante, you can put their, at least modern Dante hardware, in AES67 mode, which rewraps that PCM stream. It gets rid of a good amount of metadata that is part of Dante, because AES67 is a very basic standard, and that's what makes it interoperable between different audio over IP protocols, but they are still all PCM streams.
So the reason why I thought this was a good question is because I'm new to this whole X32 line, and as I was still researching buying a used unit, there was additional units that were available for purchase for stage, and they connected via AES 67. Is that correct? Is that how you would do it? You would connect that stage box via AES 67?
The Behringer products, their own the standard that they use, which they say is an open standard, but not really. Thanks Clark Technique and Behringer, it's called AES 50, and that's
50, okay.
at the moment only Behringer and Midas and Clark Technique, that whole music tribe, I guess they call themselves a family. That's what they use for their own audio over Ethernet protocol, not necessarily audio over IP, but they use Ethernet cables.
Gotcha. And then in the Yamaha world, what is that? That'd be Dante, right? To go to a stage box like a.
Yeah, their primary solution is Dante. They do have cards that use other protocols available that you can buy, but built into their CLQL, DM, and the PM line is Dante.
And it sounds as far as sound quality, because it's digital, it doesn't really matter, right? AES 67, AES 50, Dante, it all sound the same. It's just a transport.
Yeah, it's just transport. So they're all PCM. I guess you can call them raw audio streams that are fully capable of 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, 96 kilohertz. Other standards can do up to 192, but they're uncompressed.
Gotcha. Okay, Courtney, you want to enlighten us?
I was just going to say maybe she ought to re-enter this question and stay tuned, because our first guest up on the NAB coverage is Audinate, who are the manufacturers of Dante and who created it. So pose that question to them, how well they work with AES 67, and maybe we'll get an answer.
Sounds like a plan. All right. Let's go ahead and jump over to the next question coming from New Zealand.
Yeah, from all the way down there in Auckland, New Zealand. Peter Moore says Microsoft abandoned Teams for Linux in late 2022. I didn't realize this until I had a job interview the other day, and Teams on Linux said no. What are your thoughts?
They said no? Nigel, let us know what's going on.
What it said, what I would say is, but Teams probably works fine from the web interface if you're a client. Linux, it's interesting when you wander around NAB, there's Linux, but it's hiding underneath, it's hiding in production, it's hiding in places that require high, large-scale IT and professionals. Increasingly, Linux, whether people want to believe this or not, is not an end-user interface. And with the power of the Mac and the power of the PC and the Android and the iOS, I suspect Microsoft just said one UI too many, and it probably doesn't earn them any money, and so you can still use the web interface, and that's probably the answer for Linux.
Thank you for that. All right, let's jump over to the next question.
Comes from some stranger named Guy Cochran in Seattle, USA. Who knows where that is? YouTube launched multi-views. Is this a game changer? And he has a LinkedIn link there. So, Guy.
Yeah, right before the show, I saw this post by Kirk Haller, who works at YouTube, and I had brought up the future being multi-views a while back, and Alex kind of poo-pooed the idea, but now you're seeing that for Coachella this past couple days, they used multi-views, and some of the comments were that it's a game changer, and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have been able to not only see it, but use it for our NAB coverage, because what you guys don't see, I have these multi-views, and I could see what's going on with our 4 cameras, plus the live views. So there's 2 live views, there's 2 Viz links. So I see all this activity going on, and I wish you guys could just choose your own adventure, like multi-view. I want to see the shaky cam following Bill through the aisles, because to me that adds the realism. And so if we were to give you if you want to see the overhead shot, so we have on top of the booth, we have an overhead shot, it would be cool to let the viewer pick that shot. And yesterday during the coverage that Jonas was doing from the VizRT booth, we actually had 2 live views, and one was the wide shot of the three folks, and then there was a close up of whatever they were talking about on the screens, and so there was a camera op that was pointing at that, and I was wishing, being a viewer, that they could punch in and look at what they wanted to see and not what the TD was picking. So it's just, to me, it's a different way of interactivity and bringing folks to be more involved in a show. So, Courtney, what are your thoughts?
I think there's a new feature. I have YouTube. It's YouTube TV, which is their subscription service, which is going to run you more than $100 a month to subscribe to over-the-top channels for streaming. And they've had this, I think, for a while. YouTube TV has multi-view, so that especially on certain sports games, you can arrange 3 channels from your YouTube TV and put them in multi-view on your screen at one time, and then you click to select which one you're hearing the audio from. So it's great for sports, watching when they have 3 basketball games on at the same time for college basketball or something in different locations. You can put up all 3 or maybe even 4, I think up to 3, 2 to 4. So on your screen at the same time and watch progress and all. Great for sports views. I don't know if Coachella, something like Coachella, would do multiple feeds to YouTube TV so that from one event, which would normally be just carried as one channel. But I guess
that's what they were doing. That's what they were showing was 4 stages. So you could pick which stage that you wanted to see. So it was a four up, or pick yours and it'll come full screen.
Yeah, because Coachella the 4 stages are not related. So it's not like 4 different angles of the same event. It's like 4 different events that happen at the same time. So I guess they have them all 4 of those events that are going on from Coachella available as separate channels on YouTube TV, or you can put them up in multi-view.
Yeah, my idea is like when you're watching F1 and you want to see inside the cockpit, you want to see the point of view of the driver with the dashboard. So maybe there's 2 different double clicks that you could do to where you can zoom out so you can see their hands in position, but then you just want to see what their eyes are seeing. So I like that kind of choose your own adventure where it's like, okay, now I want to see the map. Now I want to see where the other guys are behind me. So I want to see the rear view. So I like being able to double click, and we'll see if this becomes the future. But out of our booth at NAB, we're at 100 megabits, and that connection was $10,000. So we're limited as to how many feeds that we can pull out of there. In fact, we're struggling a little bit. 100 megabit is really, really not enough for as many feeds as we have coming out of there, because they're being extracted and going over to Detroit, so into a constellation up there. So all these feeds, there's a cost, 6 megabit or so per feed, and so. We'll see if this is the future, because we have enough trouble getting one feed out of some venues where we're having to, go 6 megabit out of a hotel, and they're already charging us $1,000 for crazy internet. All right, let's. Actually, was there one more?
I was just going to say, yeah, they did propose this as part of ATSC3, which is the new broadcast standard, to be able to broadcast multiple channels and let the viewer choose which angle you could switch to. They've tried this before years in the past, where you could select your angle, and nobody ever used it, and so they eventually abandoned it. But then they built it back into, I think, ATSC3. So these are lower bandwidth, so you might have a 4K image, or you might have 4 1080p images that you can switch between on the over-the-air broadcast using ATSC3. So if you have a next-gen receiver in your TV, look and see if that feature is there. But I don't know if anybody's broadcasting in that format right now.
All righty, next question.
Andy Kokendorfer in Vieira, Florida asks, DaVinci Resolve 19 has very impressive new AI audio tools. What are your thoughts? And he has a link there.
Nigel.
There is so much in 19. It's hard to identify where to start looking. I just actually got home last night, so I downloaded the code, and I obviously haven't had to start playing with it. I will tell you that the thing about 19 that was getting all the buzz at NAB was the replay stuff. And that was one of the busiest parts of the Blackmagic stand, where they were demoing that. In terms of the audio stuff, I know there's a lot in Fairlight. I don't understand that panel and don't use it. What I'm looking forward to, I think, is more of the AI audio stuff in the cut page, the cut and the edit page, which includes voice isolation stuff and voice mixing stuff, the built-in dialogue leveler. That I think is starting to become really interesting and useful stuff. And with the live stuff, you start to wonder where they want to take this. Where is the end destination? Does this become a almost software-based live production switching editing software? It's becoming a very interesting model, but there's just so much in 19. I haven't even started looking at the audio stuff yet.
Next question.
Oh, I was going to reply.
Sorry,
but
Courtney. Go ahead.
You're probably busy doing research. Listen, I did look at when the grant made the announcement a week or so ago. Sorry about the glitch. It'll be over soon. Okay. I did find interesting that their AI audio translation and transcription tools are greatly increased. So that not only can it do voice to text for transcription, they can now separate out the characters by name or by speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3. Then you just change the name of speaker 1 and it changes it throughout. So then you can probably isolate and hit a button, and if all of these different speakers were coming in on one microphone, let's say one channel, you could then split them apart using that transcript that's keyed to timecode, and it could split them apart into different tracks. So a dialogue editor typically would go ahead and split characters out by track, even if they were recorded on a single channel. So it would improve the ability and shorten the amount of time taken to do that. That's kind of an arduous task that dialogue editors have to go through all the time. And so it'll help with a lot of that stuff. That's one feature that I saw that was pretty new in Fairlight.
And be careful about upgrading in the middle of a project. All right, next question.
All right, next one comes in from Auckland, New Zealand, and Peter Moore. This is a PSA question and one for me too. Gaffer tape versus duct tape. It's been a while since I played live, but that's happening soon. Gaffer tape brands, please, and an example of the different newbies, example for the difference for newbies, by the way, that duct tape has versus gaffer tape.
I thought we weren't supposed to talk religion on this show. All right, Mickey.
Yeah, gaffer tape is a cloth tape. It's good compared to duct tape. It's good because it does not leave residue. It holds pretty well and for a long time, and it is mostly it's quite heat resistant. So it's good for placing on fixtures. Duct tape isn't. In my opinion, isn't a religious discussion. Isn't good for anything. It's not even good for ducks. In terms of brands, my go-to is ProGaf.
All right, Courtney.
Yes. Here in Hollywood, there is a difference. Duct tape you'll find at Home Depot. Gaffer tape you'll find at expendable stores like Quixote. Here's a good expendable store with their gaffer tape. It's about $24 a roll from there, and I don't know what the name of that gaff tape is, the brand of that. And they have it in a wide variety of colors, and that's one difference. Duct tape pretty much comes in silver, and it has a vinyl coating on it, which makes it shiny and makes it more waterproof and airtight. But it is then reflective, so it makes kind of reflective, and you kind of want tape if you want it to blend in with something, or if you're using the colors. I used to carry rolls of the brown gaffer tape all the time while working on a film that has a lot of woodwork and stuff in it, because you can hide cables with brown gaff tape. So it comes in handy for that. And usually you'll find gaffer tape is a much tighter weave cloth. It's a canvas back tape. The duct tape you'll find is a much broader, weave. It won't be that tight. A material that adhesive is applied to, so it tears easier and it sticks to itself more. Both of them can leave residue behind because they do have really aggressive adhesive on them to hold things together. And if you let them sit out in the sun for too long, it can turn to mush and be difficult to get off. But generally, the higher quality gaffer tape available from a variety of expendables store, and I'm not talking about the movie with Sylvester Stallone.
Ronnie.
Yeah, so gaffer's tape is more like a tool for gaffers, and it comes in very many different types. I would strongly recommend not to bring duct tape to a gig or a production, just because of it can leave very, very hard to remove residues. But when we have our apprentices asking these questions, we tend to divide gaffer's tape into 6 different types, and I'm going to just list them pretty quickly here because there are some specific differences, and some of the vendors have very good in one type and not so good in the other type. So you have to choose carefully. Also, depending on where you are in the world, there are different vendors producing similar types of tape. So first is a standard gaff tape where it's a strong. All of these are fabric tapes. It comes in various widths and colors, but it has a matte finish, so that's kind of important. The other one is a high-performance gaff tape, which is a little bit stronger adhesive, and it's also more. It can handle more heat, so to speak. So it's stronger and doesn't fall off that quick. And then you have the absolute low residue, and that is designed to have something taped to a very sensitive surface. I'm not going into what you can probably think of that yourself, and those are also used where you leave stuff taped together with gaffer's tape for a longer time, so that when it's time to remove it, it will easily come off. Then you have all the fluorescent versions that are used to mark as warnings on staircases or stage, so people don't fall off stages and can see where the stairs are. We also use it to mark where the artist is entering the stage, so we kind of make a landing strip for them, so to speak, and even can write words on the stage floor with it, so to this way out, this way in, etc. And then you have the double-sided, which is more being used by fastening fabric to something, and you have to make it like that. So there are Mickey is showing a few tapes, and then you have the smaller rolls, which is more used for things that you have in your belt pack when you are running around the stage and doing small fixes and just repair things. So those are the six different types that we teach our apprentices at least. So there you go.
Thank you for that, Courtney.
There's one more type that Ronnie covered it very well that didn't mention, that is available from companies like Uline, called tunnel tape. And tunnel tape is like a super wide, 6-inch wide gaffer tape, but it has an area in the middle that has no adhesive on it. So it's used for running cables across pathways, and tapes it down on either side so it comes up as one piece, and it doesn't have sticky stuff that sticks to the cable as people are walking across it all day. And it comes in a variety. You can either get it in, all black, or get it in these yellow colors that are draw attention to themselves to, make sure people don't trip over those cables that you've taped down to the car.
There we go. And we did do a whole second hour at one point in time.
We did a whole hour on gaffer tape. If you look back in our archives on all his hours. So.
Yep, there you go. So
Peter, take a look through the archives and maybe you'll find it.
All right, let's go to the next question.
From Ike Potter in Hanover, Germany. Any thoughts on the Zowie box, a 4K NDI video encoder and decoder by Zowie Tech? And he has a link.
I don't see anybody raising their hand, but I'll go ahead and raise my hand for this one. These boxes, you want to be a little careful. There's industry standards out there that people have gone to know and love. And one of the things that you get with the bigger name brands is a nice interface and a rock solid history. So when you try things like an unnamed brand, I have a couple of them here that I've tested. Some of them aren't full ND, so you don't get full bandwidth. It's NDIHX, and so it's a compressed and latent format, and it might not be compatible. So there's now NDI-HX3, which I'm pretty sure that ZowieBox would not be. So I'd look at more the name brands, or if it's a show like a school or a church or something where it doesn't matter as much, you can probably get away with a ZowieBox. But I'd be looking at some of the more popular brands that cost 3 times as much, but there's a reason why everybody else uses them. Ronnie, I know you have a Kilo View. What do you think of your Kilo View as opposed to something like this?
Well, first and foremost, KiloView is a lot cheaper, and it actually is very stable. It's also quick. It doesn't get hot, so they're using some very high efficient encoding chips for this. It's been really stable, and you should expect that a product is stable. But as we all know, encoders and all these things that we have been purchasing up through the years, reliability hasn't always been the thing, but we have been really happy with our KiloView E3, which it's the kind of rack mount, very small, compact, and really easy to use thing. And we can also have it remote controlled in the cloud, so the cloud software that KiloView provides can make us have full control of it remotely as well. So we're really happy with those.
Thank you for that. And also the other brand to look at is Magewell. I like Bird Dogs as well, but Magewell, because of the cloud capability, is the one that I really like. And Jeff Keithley uses them as well, and we're big fans of NDI. I'm hoping to see some more stuff at the show that would make us go, wow. Actually, AJ did come out with some stuff for NDI Bridge, so or their product is called Bridge. So take a look at the AJA site as well for some new announcements. Let's jump over to the next question.
Next one comes in from Eric Price in Kansas City, and he says, Lewitt has announced their new Ray mic with autofocus, I should do that, quotes, for your voice, where sensors adjust levels to overcome the inverse square law and a distance-activated mute feature. Any initial thoughts?
Science. Let's go ahead, Mickey.
Yeah, I think that distance is not the only factor when it comes to where the fader level should be in a mix. Like say if I move closer, but if I turn away, I should probably sound a lot different compared to when I'm speaking directly into the microphone. And also how loud I speak also varies. So relying merely on distance for both fader level and also mute, I think it may have a use, I guess, in some workflows, but in a professional environment, I definitely don't want something adjusting microphone levels merely on distance.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Yeah, this mic is obviously aimed at the Zoom market or Teams market for the person who puts a microphone up in a meeting. It does seem, so it has a proximity sensor on it. Here we can take a look at it. It has a proximity sensor here on the front of it. It's a cardioid condenser, large diaphragm condenser. And you see these little lines that go up and down the middle here. The sensor tells you how far you are away from the mic, and that line lights up to show you your distance, or at least what the mic thinks your distance is. And it adjusts its frequency response, so it kind of eliminates a little bit of the proximity effect if you're, leaning in on that microphone and getting too close to it, where you would be overdriving it, so it drops the level down, and I think it adjusts the frequency response. And also, as you back away from the microphone, it cranks it up a little bit. And it also alters the frequency response. But I don't think it does any kind of AI echo removal, which is going to be the big problem because you're going to hear more of the room as it cranks up the level as you get further away. I think the auto mute feature of it, you can also set set it to mute. If you set a line on that microphone, so if you get further away than, let's say, 6 inches, it auto mutes the microphone. So if you walk away from it and leave it unmuted in your Zoom meeting, the people in the meeting aren't hearing you talking to your better half, or beating the kids in the background. Whatever.
Fenwick needs that one. He's
Yeah,
guilty.
yeah,
Guilty as charged.
You need that. But as Mickey pointed out, since it's just a proximity detector, I don't think it's got a camera in it, so it can tell when you've turned your head, and your head is the same distance, but your mouth is facing sideways. I don't think it will correct for that. It only compensates for distance from the microphone.
All right, Ronnie?
Yeah, a few years back when I was at school, my teacher told me you can't fix physics, and this has stayed with me for a few years. I can see a few use cases where this microphone would be kind of a thing, but for I can't. I won't be using that myself ever, never will you see me use that.
Never ever.
Unless,
so there's a maybe. There's a slight chance.
No, ever is a pretty long time. But I can see that this is one of the first products that are kind of pushing the boundaries on how electronics and algorithms and digital tools can alleviate some of the physics problems. But as we always say in this show, and for all the clients we are discussing this with, keep your microphone close. That will make everything sound better. And as Courtney said, I'm really sure the demo they did on the YouTube video, it's a pretty noiseless environment. So what happens if you have kids or kindergarten nearby or whatever happens in the vicinity? I'm pretty sure you have to use this microphone with a mix pre 3 or 6 with noise assist or something like that. Then it will probably be able to listen to.
All righty. Great responses. Let's jump over to the next question, Courtney.
Coming in from Hartford, Connecticut, Eric Hertz says, how can I integrate Zoom participant reactions along with Zoom tiles?
How can we do that, Ronnie?
Well, we sure don't know, but we know a little bit of the company that are creating this app, and they have been proving time and time over again that they are really listening to their users, so which is us and you that listen to this program, and all feedback coming back to them will probably influence what they put into the app in the next version. We don't know if they will be planning to put some of these into this version or if that comes like in a version 2 or upgrade. But we haven't seen evidence that like the front type of animation that is visible in other conference and Zoom as well. We haven't seen that in Tile, but we can hope, and I'm pretty sure they will add something to this. The interest itself for this app and all the questions and all the buzz going around this kind of specialized app makes me believe that they will be putting a lot of efforts into making this a really, really professional product.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to play with it. Can't wait. I signed up for the beta. And again, you guys download or sign up for the beta so that when it is announced to download, you are right there and you can pick it up and start playing and then ask more questions on here. Thanks for that one, Eric. Let's jump over to Peter's question.
Peter Moore from Auckland, New Zealand says, the Apple Vision Pro has been lauded for its awesome visual capabilities. What accessibility things do we know of that have helped or enhanced visually impaired people?
Interesting question, because we have a visual product here. I know I heard Alex on MacBreak yesterday talking about how he's actually at NAB and he's going to walk around today and shoot some stuff with it. So he's going to record video with it and then send it to some of the other folks that have a Vision Pro. And in that format, you can actually view it as if you were there. So I'm excited to see. Well, I don't have one, so I get the 2D version. I get the poor man's version. Courtney, you want to go ahead and enlighten us a little bit on this one?
I wish I could enlighten you because I wish I had $3,500 to blow on something like a Vision Pro, but none of our panelists today. We do have several panelists that own them. Alex and CJ and a couple of other people actually have them. I'll go out on a limb here and say it may not. I guess the spatial audio could be useful for the visually impaired because then it could give you cues from different directions. So that could be handy. Altering your field of view, though, might be tricky because it's based on augmented reality. And so it needs cameras with a known image space on them. So zooming in using the internal cameras may be problematic since it has to calculate distance and all that stuff from its LiDAR and everything else involved. I think it may be too difficult for it to use in a magnifier mode, let's say, for the visually impaired to bring something closer. And I think I heard people describe the fact that if you're watching a movie, let's say you set a screen out, it has a limit on how close you can bring that screen to your face in the augmented reality space. So you may not be able to magnify it or bring it close since it treats it as a physical object in space. You may not just be able to zoom in on it. Take a look at it in the Apple Store and ask those geniuses that question when you try it on, and maybe they'll be able to help you out as to the accessibility features.
Awesome. Nigel.
Yeah, I'm wondering around NAB, I thought I would do a Apple Vision Pro count. How many times did I see it or see it mentioned? And I would not say this was a thorough check, but the answer was one. I saw one on a... I don't even remember what it was now.
Was it Alex's?
No, it wasn't. But it was one at a stand, and they had multiple different, and I think they were demoing capture technologies. So it's the thing that no one's talking about yet, which doesn't mean it's not going to be important. Of course, it's just they're not there yet. And of course, for people who really want that experience, I know a lot of people finally got to the Sphere, so they got a bit of a 360 or 180 view there.
Cool. I can't wait to get one, but they got to come down about at least half. I mean, gosh, it's a luxury purchase at that level unless you have a need. Let's go ahead and jump over to the next question.
Coming in from Matthew Lecomte in Oakland, California. He says, I have a live stream upcoming and cannot rely on bonding Ethernet with two cellular signals with LiveView Solo Pro. What devices can give me more cellular? 4, 6 options. Multiple modem.
So there are a few things to approach this. One thing that we know that is problematic is when you divide all the video traffic on different channels going out from the venue. So staying with LiveView will make sure that all the packets, the video packets and the audio packets, will be received at LiveView's kind of sky control and then put together to one very, very high quality stream based on the technology they are using. If you're going to just need a more rugged solution, you can just buy or even rent a bigger LiveView unit. The LiveView Solo is a bit limited, as you know. There are other options as well. And one of the things that we have seen yesterday, it was we had one of our office hours crew on the NAB floor was showing this exact unit from KiloView, which is also a device that bonds and can have multiple channels out on the net. They also have a smaller version of that, a bigger version, kind of a bigger brother, which we can see down here, where you can add several cards with cellular coverage. So they have there are some products coming in, and some of them we know of, and there are probably a lot of those that we don't even have an ID exists. So I would just look around and maybe have a look at the KiloViews as well. They are not very, very high priced, and of course, you have other solutions as well that are much more expensive, like AviVest, which is really professional but cost like $25,000 each. So have a look and see for yourself. I would rent one if I was you.
Mickey?
Yeah, I agree with Ronnie. Since you're already quite comfortable, I guess, with the with the live view ecosystem, leasing out or renting out an encoder that has more cellular connections might be the best route. Alternatively, there's also routers from Peplink that you can set up with what they call Speed Fusion, which is their own bonded cellular solution, where the multiple streams going out of the multiple cellulars modems get bonded in the cloud, and you can go that route instead. It will be like general purpose, like internet connectivity, just standard internet connectivity, instead of something that's specifically designed for video transmission. But that's another solution. But I'd definitely look into renting, or at least for this production, renting a live view with more modems in it.
All righty, next question.
Next one comes in from Fred Eric Eckert from Bad Herdnam, Germany. Says, I'm looking for a rack-mountable audio mixer with Dante. So far, I only found the Midas M32C. Any other recommendations?
All right, Nigel, you want to start us off?
Yes, I think from a similar family, you have the X32 rack, which is a mixer also that will have 40 channels in and will allow you to put a Dante card in the back of it. And so that might be a more flexible tool.
And Mickey.
Yeah, if you're looking for you can rack mount pretty much any mixer with different mounting solutions. But if you're looking for something that's specifically built to be rack mounted, you didn't mention your requirements in terms of buses, ins and outs, and other connectivity, other requirements for the mixer. But mixers I would probably look at are the Yamaha TF rack, and also a lot of the larger mixers have a separate mix engine that is rack mounted, and then you can pick and choose whatever control surface you use with it. Like say, for example, if you go into the Allen and Heath D-Live series, they have the mix racks, which are all the processing happens within these rack systems, these mix rack systems, and then you choose the control surface you want to use. You can get one of their large, 48 fader controllers, essentially, are control surfaces, or you can operate it out of a computer if you want. And this is true as well when you go into the higher end systems, like say the CalRec Type R. This is specifically designed for modular use. The mix happens inside the engine, and then you buy these control surfaces as you need them, and however many you need. And the same is true with Apollo. Although I don't know why you would invest in an Apollo without getting the full control surface. But yeah, those are a couple of options there.
Wow, I'm like a kid in a candy store. I just bought an M32 after going through this struggle and wound up with the Dante card and a Behringer X-Touch to control. That was kind of the poor man's way. The Yamaha M32 or the Yamaha DM3D would also be something I'd be looking at if you didn't have to get a rack mount. But Ronnie, you want to take us home on this one?
Yeah, sometimes people asking for rack-based mixers, but maybe they can just suffice with using a processor which is rack-mounted, and there's a plethora of units that can be used just like a mixer, but it's not called a mixer.
Mickey?
Yeah, with the DM3D, if you need to rack mount it, there are rack mount kits for it that will fit within a 19-inch rack, and you can mount it at the top of the rack, or even, I don't know why you do it. You could also mount it sideways if you want, but you can mount it in a rack at the top with a cover on top of it. You can get a flight case for that.
They have trays for them, right, where you could slide it out of the rack?
Yeah,
so
there are trays, but there are rack
Flip
mount
up.
ears as well.
Rack mount ears, yeah. So a couple things to think about there, Fred, depending on if you want to be able to grab onto a physical fader, because I know a lot of folks will just be using an iPad or using a touch screen or some other kind of control, but there's nothing like grabbing onto a physical fader. That's why even with my X-Touch or with my Behringer X32, I bought the X-Touch to be able to grab onto a physical fader because I want physical control. So a lot to think about there, and hopefully we gave you some ideas. Next question.
Next one comes in from Alexander Knight in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. What's a good double-sided tape? I have tried gaffer's tape, scotch tape, and masking tape to attach these ND film sheets to an IKEA lamp, and they keep coming down.
Courtney, start us off.
Well, just go look for snot tape. And believe it or not, that's actually what it's called. You get it from Markertech or Film Tools. This is what professional gaffers use to attach their gels to the gel frames a lot of times. It's polybutyl tape that's double-sided. You stick it on and you peel off the paper backing on it, and it's double-sided. It'll hold those gels. They make it in clear or black. Clear is the best kind, and it's removable because you can just rub your finger across it and roll it up into a ball afterwards. That's why they call it snot tape.
Yeah, go ahead, Nikki.
Yeah, I didn't think of snot tape, Courtney, but a popular brand that's marketed specifically for the audio industry is called Joe's Sticky Stuff, and yeah, I use a lot of them. But I was gonna say, yeah, perhaps maybe try another brand of gaff tape. Again, my preference is ProGaff. But if it doesn't work, something else I might recommend is transport tape, which is surgical tape. It sticks very well. I think that lampshade is fabric, and the transport sticks very well to fabric as well as micropore tape. So those are probably different adhesive tapes to look into.
Yeah, and the one that Mickey recommended, the Joe Sticky Stuff, comes in different widths. It's mostly used in the audio industry. Be careful when you use this stuff because you don't just pull it straight out. You want to pull the stuff down, and that way it'll come off easier. And you'll notice on the lid of mine, I actually have some magnets. So for something like that, I might just use some powerful magnets to temporarily put that up. So think about magnets in addition to just using tape, because there's many ways to do this stuff, including a C47, which if you don't know what that is, Google it, and maybe that might be the answer to that one. Let's go ahead and go to the next question.
All right. From Gabriella Exceptio Mestria, I should read these ahead of time, from Sault Ste. Marie, says, with the new Blackmagic design updates, what's an affordable and straightforward way to connect multi-track DAW recording to ATEM ISO using timecode? Is it possible to send generated timecode from my DAW while recording to ATEM ISO and then sync in Resolve? Will that be cake? No.
Mickey.
Yeah, you can certainly stripe timecode into an audio track within your within the ATEM ISO's internal recording. What I would do there, output it from your DAW as you mentioned, and then embed it into an audio track on one of your camera feeds. I would do that there instead of sending it directly into the ATEM, because the video coming from your camera ends up in the ATEM a little late because of the camera's own processing time, and also the ATEMs have frame syncs within them, which delays the picture or delays the video feed or the HDMI or SDI feed, so that all signals line up. Which, if you send the audio directly into the ATEM or the LTC striped into the audio directly into the ATEM, you would have an offset there that has to be corrected in post-production. So I would embed that in the camera, but certainly possible.
Courtney.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe if you talk about an ATEM, the larger ones that have reference input and timecode inputs on them, the 1ME and 2MEs or the constellations, might support it. The minis, Extreme, I don't think there is a timecode input. And I'm not sure whether it honors timecode coming in over HDMI or SDI from those. And when it creates that project for Resolve, for your I guess digital video workstation for your editor, I think it uses embedded timecode rather than audio timecode. You could probably use the LTC audio, like Mickey said, on an audio track to sync each track separately. But I don't know if it'll automatically sync them into a project like was designed. I'm not that big a user of Resolve, so check to make sure that I'm not leading you down the wrong path. But it may need actual time code that is embedded in the file, in the video files, rather than audio time.
Alrighty, and coming up today, we have more NAB coverage. It's been an exciting show, and so a few of us will be jumping onto that in just about another 2 hours. So we'll see at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We will be on the show floor again with the crew. I'm excited to see what we can wrap up with. We also have a couple of labs today. We've got Squares TV lab. Actually, that's today. Thursday, we have an Isadora lab and a Mimo Live lab. And then for Friday, we have a show on how we NAB'd Las Vegas, which is going to be an exciting one. I can't wait to show you guys kind of behind the scenes. I've been wanting to swing the camera over to let you see what's all in there. So it'll be an exciting show. So stay tuned for that, and we'll jump to the next hour. And we're back for the next hour. Thank you guys for tuning in. I think we're going to keep going on with more NAB stuff. So NAB audio we'll be discussing, and some general questions. So let's go ahead and jump over to, let's see, Pedro's question, Courtney.
Right, from Pedro G. Gonzalez the third in Oklahoma City. He says, speaking of microphones, what about people that naturally breathe heavily? Putting mics closer to the mouth can present more problems, yeah?
Mickey?
Yeah, with that, it's a matter of how you mount your mics, and also any possible pop protection or wind protection that you place on your mic. So you certainly have to be ready. Like if you're setting things up just on the day, like what we typically do on film sets, or in let's say when you're shooting an interview, you have to have all the tools handy. And you adapt to the situation. You watch your talent. You see how they, like, even when you're, say, if you're doing a sit-down interview, even when the interview subject comes into the building, I start actually like watching their mannerisms and what they do, and like if they use their hands a lot when they speak, if they fidget around a lot when they speak, watch how they how they move their body and their different mannerisms, and just be able to adapt to whatever kind of talent you have.
Awesome. And speaking of NAB audio, for those of you who haven't seen, Gotham Sound's got a YouTube feed up. If somebody could put a link to their YouTube channel in the chat, I've been following their coverage, and you might want to pull some questions from their past videos. I've been loosely watching what's being unveiled. There's some exciting mics from Sennheiser. There's been some stuff in the Reading Audio booth. Gotham, for those of you that don't know, they're one of the powerhouses along with True in the audio industry. So if you want a deep dive, if you're an audio fanatic, I would suggest tuning into their coverage, because we're going more video, audio, lighting centric, but in a loose manner, where these guys go deep, deep, deep. They were in I think it's called the Q5 booth for like half an hour. Mickey, is that the name of those transmitters that the sports guys wear that allow you to
Q5X?
take a Q5X, yeah. So things like that are really specialty items, and it's interesting to see how people use these different tools in different manners. So like a coach's mic, I would have never thought of it, that you need a toggle switch to be able to turn that off, because you don't want to hear the plays to be called and things like that. And you don't want people to get hurt, and an athlete to get hurt because of a rugged transmitter that's too rugged. You want something rubberized. Mickey, you got something to say about that one?
Yeah, and also just to add to that, like in sports, you a lot of times, aside from having that toggle switch to mute the mic for privacy reasons, you also want encrypted wireless, because if it's unencrypted, anyone can just tune in if they have a receiver.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that you don't think about. Ronnie's showing a feed of that. If we can cut over to Ronnie's view there, we can see how they're using, I think it's a mix pre. Can you see what's in that bag, Mickey? Is that a mix pre that they're using? pretty sure it's a mix pre, and then they're using Axient. So Axient we haven't talked about Axient much, but man, if you want some of the best, I know we're having Electro help us out, and we're using Electro, but Axient is what Shure's Axient wireless is what you'll see a lot of the time out in big venues, in addition to Electrosonic. So they're using Axient in their feeds, and they've got a hop back with a Sony. But they're using the thing I didn't like, and actually commented on this in their feed, is they're using head-worn mics which don't have any ambient sound, so it sounds really, really clean. Like it doesn't feel like you're there. What do you think about that, Mickey?
Yeah. And Ron, yeah, I don't know if you can go back to where we can see a view of their sound bag. But I think I saw a glimpse of a DNS2 in there, a Cedar DNS2, their dialogue noise suppressor box. That's 2 channels that can work on a sound card or in a sound bag. It's a tiny little box. But yeah, certainly Gotham's coverage is something I always watch, and I haven't been able to see it because of the office hours productions. But certainly that is my number one go-to. Their coverage, even in the past when they didn't do live, was pretty darn good.
And is that head-worn mic that he's wearing a Shure, or can you tell right there?
That looks like a the one the guest is wearing. I'm not entirely sure, but
that one's an H6 by Countryman.
Okay, H6. That. I don't think it's an H6 because that's quite large for an H6. It could be the EMW version of that, but the one that I think that's Peter Schneider doing the interview there, right? He's using one of the HMD 300s, I think.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see how other people do stuff. I know if you were hired to do this, Mickey, you'd probably have somebody with some ambient sound, either with a pole or. Actually, tell us what would you if you were paid or you were going to send out a crew, what would you have them do to ideally pick up some good shots to make the viewers feel like they're there, but also to slap on talent or an exhibitor as a guest? Budget unlimited.
Yeah, well, it depends on how the director would like the coverage to happen. I'm a fan of the more traditional stick mic solution, but that requires ideally you would be the person conducting the interview would be the one passing the mic back and forth because as Alex mentioned and as we experienced on the coverage yesterday, leaving a guest holding the mic, you don't really have control of your show when that happens. So I'm a fan of the more traditional version. If they want something more hands-free, I would probably, within that environment, I would probably go with lavalier. I'm not a fan of the sound of headset mics because it feels very unnatural to me. As you mentioned, there's no liveliness in the sound. You lose the feel of the environment. So a lavalier would give you that balance there.
Nice. Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah, how fast could you though? You're probably good at it. That's why you say lav. How fast are you able to go up to somebody and just get a lav on them? And which lav would you pick?
Yeah. Well, if production is okay with a mic that is not concealed, and this varies from region to region and also from production to production. If they would accept visible mics, then that's very quick and easy. You prep a couple mics with the different types of clips, horizontal clip, vertical clip, and with different types of what do you call this? Wind protection on it already mounted. So that's why you carry, and even if you're just gonna plan, even if production is only planning for a single guest at a time, you bring 6 mics all rigged up differently so that you don't have to rig things when you get to their booths. You're good to go. Get the wire in, get the body pack in, you're golden in 30 seconds. If it's concealed, then you don't know what you're gonna encounter. Different types of shirts, even different types of dress shirts, will
So,
require
like
different solutions.
dress shirt, standard issue. How would you mic me quickly? Would you drop like a lav bullet type thing down and put the pack on my waist, or how can you walk us
Yeah.
through that?
Yeah, pretty much. Do I have a lav? Yeah. Talk for like a minute. I'll get a lav.
Okay. Yeah, so in these shows, you start to, if you watch Gotham's coverage, you start to see what we're talking about. And it's different strokes for different folks. Like, they want it to be dead, clean sound, and we actually want to feel like we're there. So it's two different mindsets as to what you want to hear. And I would actually love to get more stereo, or there's a, the future will be where we can get multi-channel and from the field and be able to get that surround sound and make it really feel like you're there. But yeah, what we're talking about is the difference between, walking up with a stick mic, sticking it in somebody's face, and then the bummer about this is if this is the only mic and you forget to cue it back to yourself, then when we heard a little of this with some of the other coverage from NAB, that people forget, even experienced reporters forget to cue the mic back to themselves. And these are omnidirectional, so if you just held it in between, you would get an equal distance amount of and an equal amount of sound. But when you're cueing it like this, some of them do have like the MD46 is a supercardioid version, which will give you more of a unidirectional pattern rather than just a 360. So different mics have different characteristics. We're using SM58s, which I watched Alex's Mac Break episode, and it was a little too much. Like I could hear too much of the show. So as a mixer, you want to be able to balance that dialogue and that ambient sound, and it's nice to have the choice and not just be stuck with one or the other. So Mickey, were you able to dig around and find something, or Ronnie, you want to add a little to that? Or Courtney?
I'm just impressed that you are able to small talk like that for so long and still be following in the red thread. So I'm really impressed. Mickey, are you ready? Thumbs up if you're ready.
Yeah. So I just got I think these are Countryman B6s. And yeah, so you'd come with a couple of them. You'd come prepped for something like this. I would come prepped for we have 4 or 5, 6 labs, all rigged up differently, and then like this one's prepped with a little horizontal clip on it. I don't know if this thing there, and then we drop the connector down, and then down their shirt, and
so that's the thing, is how do you drop that down fast in a moving trade show floor like that, where you only got like a few seconds to?
Yeah, there's solutions like the lav bullet, like you mentioned, that help use gravity to help bring the microphone down. I used them quite a bit before, but it at times would just slow me down because of the added bulk, and also they kept on being lost, or either lost or confiscated at the airport, because it's shaped like a bullet. They did change that and make it look like a tiny microphone instead of a bullet, but I never got back to using them. But yeah, some talents are, or some interview subjects are very used to it and very comfortable with it, with putting on a mic. Some aren't, so you just have to, again, read your subject, read your talent. There are some subjects that are like do your thing. So I go ahead and put my hand up their shirt, bring the microphone down. Some are not as comfortable, and again, you find this out by reading them. And then you, when you're miking them up, you mention every single thing that you're gonna do before you do it. So, hey, I'm going to put this cable into the top of your shirt here, and then very slowly, be conscious because you're entering their personal space. Tell them every single thing you're about to do before you start doing it, and then ask them to help you bring the lav down, and yeah, that works pretty well for me. Like walk them through it.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation to be in, and thank you for those tips. And I know that Courtney also has a ton of experience. For those of you that don't know Courtney, if you IMDb Courtney, he's the real deal. So Courtney, you want to give us a little bit of I've been around.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. If you've got a large diaphragm condenser like I'm using here, keep a windscreen on it or a pop filter at all times, because if you get it too close to somebody, they're going to get a plosive that's going to land on that condenser and it's going to go. And as far as lavs go, I see now a lot, especially in European broadcasts, what they're doing is they're using omnidirectional lavaliers, and they're pointing them, they're clipping them on the outside. You'll see them on newscasters, but they'll put them with the element. If they're end address, they'll put them facing down. This is it's an omnidirectional microphone, so it should receive full dynamic and full frequency range from any direction. So putting it down eliminates the plosives from going directly in and hitting that capsule. So if you're going to put it on their chest, make sure it is an omnidirectional microphone, because some of them are cardioids, before you mount it in that tie clip or coat clip and have it facing down. So that's another way you can eliminate some of the breathy problems you can run into from people that snort a lot or exhale through their nose, and will hit that puff of air will hit that condenser microphone and make a lot of noise.
And Mickey, I had one question for you. Now that you got some of your kit out, maybe you have something along the lines of attachments for transmitters. What would you use if somebody doesn't have like a traditional belt to clip a belt pack onto? What do you carry in your kit?
Yeah. I don't know how this would work nearly as well, like say in a trade show floor situation. But in a narrative situation, or when you have time to dress up the lavalier and the cable and the body pack on the talent, you typically have these straps that can be mounted either on the talent's waist or their ankle or their even shoulder or even their chest. I'm a big fan of the straps made by Ursa. I have so many of them. It's with all different colors. They have black. They have flesh toned straps. They have white, and all different sizes from like extra small to extra large. And they make concealing the body pack itself really easy.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a reason why it's funny, because people think audio is so simple, but then you get a guy that's been doing it for a decade or two, and all of a sudden you start to hear some of the tricks of the trade. And because you get out there in the field, and if somebody's wearing something that you can't clip onto, it's like, what do you do? And Mickey has an Ursa strap or 20, in all different colors, or a tip from Courtney where you flip the mic upside down so you don't hit that plosive. There's so much to learn about getting high quality audio. Ronnie.
Yes, this has become a section of what's in your bag. I just want to mention one thing that I've always missed when I'm out doing production is suddenly there is someone that, we should have some music here and there, and can you fix that? And then there is always a struggle to, get the music out on the speakers. Could be out where the bar is or wherever. Not the main PA. That's normally fixed by our guys. But there is a small company in Italy that have this extremely cool product, which is called Sonect. And they have two kind of cool products. This is the Soundwire, and it is actually a USB-C to dual stereo XLR adapter, all in just one cable, which is really, really cool. They also have this other product that I always have in my bag, which is called, this is the Soundwire, which is called Sound Bullet, which is actually a test tool for stage and event. This is equipment that we have used a lot of times and are really proud of. And they also have a bag for the cable USB interface. Oh, it's so cool.
Man, those are on my wish list. I want both those items. And for those of you who are interested in picking them up, if you go to their website, shipping to the U.S. is extremely expensive, but there is a retailer in the U.S., Rat Sound, Dave Rat, and special hat tip to Jeremy Horn, who owns both those, and gave me the tip that he didn't pay the $35 shipping from Italy. And you can order from Rat Sound, and somebody will put a link in the chat for that. Courtney, you want to go ahead and give us a little insight?
I was just going to wrap up and show you this is what those Ursa straps that harnesses that Mickey was mentioning. A thing to remember: these things, especially this one that goes under your arms, it's a back strap and it holds that transmitter in the small of your back, so it may not be as visible through clothing, so that you don't see a hump on your back if you put it between your shoulder blades like that. Since these straps run under your arms, you want to make sure you launder them between each day, because they can get a bit, especially if the actor's sweating or doing any kind of physical work, they're going to get kind of rank and randy after a couple of days. So you want to make sure you wash them out. And some of these, I can't remember the name of them. Maybe Mickey can remember, that are made out of a wetsuit material. So they have some pouches that are made out of wetsuit material, so it kind of protects the transmitter in a rubber type stuff that is waterproof. Water resistant, let's say, and has a cushion around it. So if they get hit on the back or the microphone, they hit their thigh or wherever you have it wrapped around, it cushions it a little more and protects the transmitter and the person from any concussive hits on that strap or harness that you have that wireless transmitter.
And Mickey.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're thinking of the same thing, Courtney, but one that I've used is called Aquapack, which is I think they started initially for iPods, if I recall correctly, for putting.
That's a waterproof container, right?
Yeah, protecting iPods from water. And then it does have a little pass-through hole that seals up to let your it was originally the purpose was supposed to be so that you can let your headphones go through inside and listen to your iPod, but people repurpose them for lavalier transmitters. I was gonna say that for the straps, like the Lectrosonics DSSM that was shown yesterday, the tiny transmitter, which is waterproof, works really well for hiding and like really skimpy clothing. Like say, if someone is wearing like a bikini or a beach outfit, they're really handy for that. And Ursa does have like the very thin chest strap that has that you can put a pouch in the back. Or even in the, I guess if it's a bikini, you can put it inside the one of the cups in front, and that will securely hold the actual transmitter pack in there.
And then do you find yourself using, out of the Ursa line, mostly the thigh or midsection, or which ones do you see you are in the real world to use the most? Which was worth, if I was to buy one, which one would I get?
Definitely what we have most of is the waist strap, and like in terms of Ursa straps, I think have a total of like 130 or 150 of them. Wow. Because yes, you need all the different kinds, different colors, different sizes, and what Courtney mentioned, that after every shooting day, I mean it's hot and humid here, so it gets all like really quite disgusting after a shooting day. So you definitely have to get them washed after every day. So you need something to use for the next day.
And with that, we'll jump over to Andy's question and learn what's new at the Sound Devices booth.
Let's hope so. Andy Kokendorfer from Vieira, Florida says, anything new at the Sound Devices booth? Gee, I heard that.
All right. Did anybody do a little research and see what they've got?
Courtney? I've been looking at their website, and the only thing they're showing now is this Astro, which they introduced last year, I think. Which is this? It's a different concept in wireless mic receivers. It's a broadband receiver, so it's useful globally. It takes in a whole swath of frequencies, And as you know, as you travel around the United States, different frequencies are legal in different areas. Depends on the television transmission in that neighborhood. And there are different blocks and different areas. And this one is frequency agile to the point of being able to be used globally. So in any country you can go into, you can pick the range and limit the range that it works in. And you can have, and this Astral receiver is unique in that I tried to ask them how the heck it works, because I'm from an area where you have a separate receiver and front end for each frequency that you're tuning. And this one is software based. So it has this global receiver that receives a whole wide bandwidth of area and digital signals in that whole band swipe. And then it pulls out each individual channel that you happen to be broadcasting on out of that long swath, and it puts it up in a little receiver in that rack mount. It's agile to the fact that you can upgrade it from 8 to 16 to 24 to 48. Mickey, is that right? With just a software license unlock for additional channels. You don't have to add any new hardware. It used to be with these wireless mics, you used to have a caddy that would hold, up to 4 receivers. And if you wanted to expand from 2 to 4, you could slide them into this multi-antenna caddy, which would combine all of those wireless receivers into one unit you could carry in a bag. But this rack mount unit looks like it's designed, Astra, it looks like it's designed primarily for reality shows or Broadway musicals, traveling musicals, where you're traveling to different areas of the country or different countries where you may have to be frequency agile depending upon what country you're in. So it looks like a good thing there. They have also, they're introducing on their website a wireless guitar system that ties into that Astral, and the A20TX, which is their new transmitter that interfaces with that Astral. And so it's also worldwide compatible. But I don't know if those two things are new or if they've been around for a while. They don't seem to be announcing anything in the Mix Pre or in the Recorder series that's new. Mickey, do you know of anything?
Yeah, sound devices, and I find that a lot of larger, like higher end manufacturers don't tend to announce at NAB. That's where they exhibit them but they don't make the announcements within the NAB timeframe. Yes, they call that the Super Nexus, the 32 channel wireless receiver. It's an interesting play, and because that this wouldn't be something, I don't think it would be primarily targeted towards the film and TV industry, because it's rare that you would need that many channels. Although rack mount is nice, but they already sort of came out with that with the original Nexus, which is capable of up to 16 channels of RF. The something to keep in mind though is that they are now part of Audiotonics, and a little birdie told me that look at Digico and how the sound devices integration into Audiotonics matches with Digico.
Ooh, interesting. You heard it here. Ronnie.
Oh, I'm so happy they didn't release any new Mix Pre's, because I just purchased my Mix Pre 6 with the noise assist a few months back. So I'm happy as a camper.
All right, and back to you, Mickey.
Yeah, it's an interesting, like you mentioning that, Ronnie, the whole sound devices going into the purchase an additional license thing. I believe started with the Mix Pre line with their music plugin as well as their Ambisonics plugin, and then it really moved forward when they released the 8 series, the Scorpio 888 and the 883, where you can buy licenses for what do you call this, Automix, as well as Dugan, and also noise suppression, noise assist, and their Cedar integration, Cedar XDNS, and also later on also released licenses for their 8 series that allow for additional mixing and recording channels. And then now with their Nexus line, they're fully on board with the additional licenses. What do you call this? Model where you, like, say for the original Nexus, the one that I have, the smaller one, the half rack U one, starts off with 4 channels of RF, and then you can go to 8 channels, and then you can go to 16 channels of RF. Same deal with the Super Nexus, where it starts off with 8 channels and can go all the way up to 32.
Mickey, where are you seeing that noise assist cedar mostly used in the real world? I mean, is it something that you're seeing? Because it's obviously expensive to buy, but for live, are you seeing it more, or are you seeing it for fast turn, or where is this being?
Yeah, specifically for within the sound devices world, the noise suppression tools built into the mixers. There are times that I do put that on the mix bus, never on the ISO channels. ISO channels raw, but on the mix bus, say if it's for something that I know will be high turnaround or fast turnaround, or I know for sure it's not going to post sound, then I may do some noise suppression there. Very light noise suppression, but I may do it there with what I feed as my actual mix track there, and that's also what the mix track is also what I feed into cameras if I'm required to record audio into cameras as well. But it's rare that I use that. I don't typically live in the fast turnaround news live world. I mostly do programming that does go through a full post sound workflow. So it's rare that we do noise suppression on set for those.
Yeah, because I remember before Noise Assist became available, and the Cedar DNS box was something that people would, hem and haw about buying or acquiring for their bag, because it's like, hey, how many rentals or how many gigs do you have to add that onto your rental charged if you're a sound op? It's expensive. I mean, it's like $4,000 for the well, it used to be. I don't know if it's gotten cheaper, but yeah, it was an expensive choice to make. Mickey?
Yeah, I see Paul Isaacs is in our chat, and he mentioned the new firmware for 8 series, which includes 32-bit float daylight mode. Finally, Paul, thank you, daylight mode. I've been waiting for that for years. Live input to outputs during playback. That's handy. Thank you. So thanks for chiming in the chat, Paul.
Wow, you never know who's listening to the show. There we go. Paul Isaacs from Sound Devices giving us a clue as to some of the new announcements. Thank you for the new firmware. Ronnie, you want to go ahead and add to this?
Yeah, as a response to your question about how you use it in real world, we use MixPre with Noise Assist in live production, where we have roundtable discussions, where we have, and we tend to have gooseneck microphones or wireless or similar, and then we throw that into an auto mix or a Durgan mix, depending on what equipment we bring. And that after we have done all the compression and leveling and auto mixing, we pipe that through the MixPre with Noise Assist, and we get incredible increase in the quality of the audio just by that little thing. That is expensive, but the quality is really, really top notch when we do it. Even if we do it live, just not for recording. So, and the latency is so low, it's barely noticeable, or we can't notice it. So it's a really, really good product for that application, as well as being good for news teams, etc. So you can use the equipment for more than just one thing, and you have to just try and set it up and use it.
Awesome. And I think everybody here on the panel owns a Sound Devices mixer. Is that correct? Everybody here? Yeah. That's awesome. All right, let's jump over to the next question from Douglas Carmichael.
Yeah, from Douglas. He says, has anyone visited the Allen and Heath booth at NAB? None of us were there.
Not yet. We're all remote, but we could probably send over a wireless camera in there. Put it as a question we're coming up at 10 o'clock. We'll be hitting the field. And so put it in there. Maybe we can jump over there and see if there's anything new. Next question.
This comes in from Ross McNulty in Vancouver, Canada. And she says, my friend, a university professor, wants to record his classroom lectures with an inexpensive iPhone setup. I see some setups on Amazon. Any recommendations for a basic tripod microphone?
Ronnie.
Yeah, we use a lot of products for that specific reasons from SmallRig. So I could of course show the website, but you can navigate there yourself and just search for the iPhone rigs. They also have cages for iPhones to have other equipment, and you can use a simple microphone or even an audio interface to get audio into the iPhone if you go that way, probably. So they have a lot of everything from really, really small things that you place on the table or larger things that you can either use their own tripods, which is very flexible, or you can add that to a bigger or higher tripod or monopod if needed be. So just have a look at that and I think you will find what you need.
Yeah, Courtney.
If he's doing lectures where he's doing something where he's going to a board and writing stuff on a whiteboard or something like that, I would go away from just a tripod-mounted microphone or phone with a microphone built in. I would use look at DJI's microphone. They make a wireless microphone, or the Rode Go series makes very small RF microphones. They're reasonably priced, and they interface to the iPhone with a USB-C connector or Lightning connector. Depending upon your phone, and it'll give you a wireless mic. You can then put the lav on the professor, and he's free to wander around. So if he likes to pace up and down in front of the blackboard, he won't be going on and off microphone. And you can use your phone for doing this stuff, or something like an Insta 360 Link, which is the little gimbal-mounted camera that can be fit on top of a laptop or something, or on top of a little tripod. And it has intelligence that will follow you around. You can set it to track him wherever he goes, focus on him, and it has some unique modes for presenters. It has a whiteboard mode that will detect a whiteboard in the screen and let you do a close-up of the whiteboard just with a gesture. To display that if he's recording these lectures where he wants to demonstrate something on the board. Or it also has a mode where it looks straight down. So if you have something that you're showing close, demonstrating, it can automatically tilt down and flip the image around so that it's not upside down when it's tilted down, so that he can demonstrate something and it's right side up on the video. So those are two handy suggestions you can use. That may not be quite as cheap as just sticking your phone on a tripod.
Cool. Thanks for that. Let's jump over to the next question.
Comes in from Fred Eric Eckert in Bad Herdnob, Germany. What's a reliable Dante USB interface that is seen but by everybody, I guess, or at least most computers?
Ronnie, go ahead and start us off.
We're using a lot of Ordinate interfaces, and they also have a USB or USB-C adapter. And among others, they also have Bluetooth adapters. Just remember that the playout from the iPhone or whatever you connected it is stereo, but the return audio is only mono. So that is something to be aware of. They also have XLR inputs in stereo and XLR outputs in stereo. And did I forget anything here now?
I don't know. Mickey, you want to?
So just to answer Ronnie's question, the Obvios are available with analog in mono as well, and analog out mono, as well as AS3 in and out. And yes, I would also recommend the USB AVIO adapters from Audinate. They are class compliant standard, just two channel interface in and out, 2 channels in, 2 channels out. Get the version with the USB-C connector, because those have a replaceable cable as opposed to the USB-A version that has the cable integrated into it. And if something happens to that cable, you'd have to either get it replaced or replace the cable yourself by desoldering it inside the board. So it's easier to go with the USB-C version of it.
And Mickey, the name's not coming straight to my head, but there was another model that is a little preamp as well. That's not an Audinate product. It starts with an R, RMB or RSS or R. It seems to be popular.
There's another brand, like a little more affordable than the Audinate ones. That it's I don't recall off the top of my head either.
Maybe somebody can put it in the chat. We'll circle it around.
Yeah, other options for that would be Neutrik also has. I think Neutrik discontinued their box. I'm not sure, but they used to have a 2-channel in, 2-channel out analog adapter as well. Yamaha also has their Dante box that allows for plug-in processing, but I don't have that model off the top of my head.
Yeah, because if you bought a Midas M32C, which somebody was looking at earlier, how would you get the mics in besides the Dante boxes? Because do they make one that is a preamp as well? So if you wanted a mic, not line level, but a mic, because I have the line level one right here.
Yeah, going back to what we were talking about earlier, the Midas and Behringer mixers, including the M32C, have AS50 interfaces on them, which can allow you to use their stage boxes that connect over AS50. Aside from that, the M32C does have a card slot in it, so you can get signals in and out through Dante or any other digital audio protocol you may want, including USB if that's something that you need.
Gotcha. All right, let's go jump to the next question.
Next question comes in from Andre DeLay in Berlin. Says, we are searching for a USB or Bluetooth headsets with sound optimization. They'll be used in office workspaces with up to 6 colleagues, all in the same conference call. The headsets should acoustically isolate them from each other as good as possible.
Miracle. Mickey.
Yeah, certainly the whole 6 colleagues in a single workplace and isolate them as much as possible is sort of counterintuitive. So first order of business is to separate them out so you can get isolation. Another solution, this is a little bit of a stretch, but it does answer your question. I would probably look into the Shure Microflex line. You can get one of their body packs here that have a microphone input. You can put a headset mic into it, and it does have a headphone out. So you can give them cans or in-ears or whatever you want to do. And then that would go into one of their access points. This access point can take in up to 8 transmitters, and then feed that into a P300 processor, which is able to do auto mixing with either gain sharing or their own gating algorithm. And one thing about this P300 is it is capable of sending into a computer via USB. So it is technically a USB microphone.
Whoa, that's cool. Ronnie?
Yeah, when I first read the question, I was thinking, no, this is not possible. Then I suddenly was thinking of what they said, the same thing that Mickey said. You just use 6 different microphones going into an auto mixer, either from expensive or cheap ones, or maybe even the new ones from Allen and Heath. Do an auto mix, send out the audio into one of the 6 machines. Of course, you will have some kind of synchronization problems, but if they are on the same high-quality network, same type of machines, etc., the delay could be just noticeable, or depending on the quality of the Zoom call. And you don't say if it's a Zoom call or if it's Teams or anything else. There are differences between those softwares as well. We see that Zoom is really reliable, keeping pretty good sync when we do this, but we are continually opening and closing microphones when we are in the same call, and it's a mess.
Courtney?
Well, one thing you might look at is something designed for broadcast, like the Audio-Technica makes the BP, let me bring it up here, HS1, which is dual over-the-ear headsets plus a a microphone noise canceling. I think it's a dynamic mic. Oh no, maybe it's an electret condenser. Dynamic. No, this one says dynamic cardioid boom. So it's not going to be real sensitive to picking up a bunch of other stuff in the room. So it'll do some noise canceling. It terminates in a regular XLR and a phone plug for the audio coming in. And this way you can keep the audio from your conference call going individually to each of your individual persons. And you plug that in to a Zoom F6, which is a 6-input recorder / USB interface. And it has auto mix built into it. So it can then auto mix that call with the 6 colleagues. So all of their mics aren't hot at the same time. So whoever's talking will take precedence and it will bring down the level on everybody else. So you won't hear a lot of noise in the room. And that should give you a pretty clean output. Of course, it may be uncomfortable for your colleagues. They're going to have to wear these headsets with earmuffs throughout the conference call. But it will keep them isolated. And I don't know if they're going to appear on camera or not, but the auto mix will help take care of adding 6 amounts of the room noise into that conference call.
All right, let's jump over to Mickey.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to mention that Chris Sabato and also who was it? Oh, TJ Worrell did mention the RDL Dante interfaces.
Oh, RDL was the name. And then there is an older Shure model. I think it's the SM280, if I remember right. That's an IntelliMix that it's been discontinued, but you could find them used for cheap. And some of them will have the Dante cards in them. So take a look at Google that SM280 or jump on eBay and see if you can find one of those used, because a lot of them have been deinstalled to get this new 300 model. Let's jump to the next question.
Comes in from Bad Herrenab, Germany. Fred Eric Eckert says, does the Yamaha DM3 have enough gain to amplify the Shure SM7B?
Go ahead, Mickey.
Yeah, certainly does. And I think one thing to point out is it's important to do appropriate gain staging, because like say for us to be able to, like in the panel, what we aim for is minus 24 LUFS, and also like for most web broadcasts you're looking at anywhere from like minus 20 to minus 14 LUFS of loudness. You would not be able to hit those numbers in most situations. You would not be able to hit those numbers without any dynamics processing, because like even me targeting minus 24 LUFS to be on this panel, I am regularly hitting my limiter. So in a typical broadcast or typical like production environment, you would be setting your head amp gains. So your preamps, you would be setting your preamps at a conservative level, so that you have enough headroom for when if your talent or your presenter or whoever starts to speak loudly or starts laughing or whatever they may do. So you typically have your gains, your peaks hit somewhere between like minus 20 dBFS or within like minus 20 dBFS and minus 10 dBFS, somewhere there on your peaks. That would net you probably a LUFS reading of somewhere between minus 27 and minus 33, somewhere there. Maybe more on the lower end of that scale, come to think of it. So you typically, and again, a actual professional production workflow, you're not setting your head amps that high. You are then doing dynamic range processing, controlling your peaks down, and then using makeup gain to bring that higher once you have controlled your peaks. So that's your gain staging. Have a conservative level coming in your head amp, then process it, control the peaks, and then bring everything up afterwards. So going back to your question, most decent interfaces, the most decent mixers are fully capable at setting the appropriate gain at the head amp for something like an SM7B.
So no cloud lifter required.
Absolutely not. I understand. Like if your only gain stage is the microphone, then that's a different problem. But in a professional workflow, your controlling your entire gain stage process as you bring it up to whatever delivery level you need.
Man, thank you for that. We're getting schooled today. Let's go over to the next question.
Kenny Hampton in Greenville, Illinois says, speaking of sound devices, noise assist, is it being used at NAB with the SM58 in the booth and the wireless mics?
Yeah, Mickey, you want to let us know what the whole chain is?
No, negative. So, okay, whole chain, wow. Okay, they have 2 hours.
I mean, and yeah. Well, we got 12 minutes, 11.
Okay.
Go.
Okay, whole chain. I'll just go through this very, very quickly. The booth mics go into an X32. The X30, and I'm talking specifically about the broadcast chain here, not the monitors and the returns and all that. Booth microphones going into an X32. X32 goes into a Mac Mini via Dante Unity Connect, going to John Wallace's infrastructure at UWM in Detroit. That goes into a Mac Studio. Mac Studio via Dante again goes to an M32C where this show is being mixed. And the Vislink microphones, those wireless receivers, go into gets embedded into the FX6. FX6 gets transmitted audio and video into a Vislink through a Vislink system back to the booth. The booth audio and video, the audio from that SDI feed on the receiver in the booth gets de-embedded using a PIX240, and that de-embedded audio, analog audio, goes into that same X32 in the booth. Gets sent down the same path to that Mac Mini Unity Connect to John Wallace. The live view system, the LU4000 server that's receiving everything, is being sent into a Video Hub router. Video Hub router sends one signal into the constellation for cutting images, and then another output of the router gets sent into a Teranex optical converter, if I recall correctly, which does put out analog audio, and analog audio gets into an AVIO adapter to bring it into the Dante world, and that goes to the M32C. So that's the microphones. The source is coming in. The returns are a totally different story.
Awesome. I know I need a diagram because my mind's just like putting all this stuff together visually. Just thank you for that. And that was a lot to pack in there. Courtney, you want to add to that?
Yeah, could you repeat that thing? No, just kidding. I was taking notes and I got distracted about halfway through. No, yesterday I did hear some type of noise gating going on. It didn't sound like noise reduction or intelligent noise removal of any sort, but it did sound like some kind of gating going on. Is that happening in the X32, which is the first thing that it feeds into, or is it happening down the line somewhere in the multiple plethora of sound devices that are in line with it?
First, I want to answer the Kenny's actual question. No, there's no noise assist happening there. You're hearing the Vislink and the booth microphones directly into the Zoom meeting stage, as we call it. There is a gate that feed from the stage is coming directly. The audio is coming directly from that X32 in the booth. That doesn't. Again, the returns are a totally different story. What you're hearing on stage is coming directly from that X32 in the booth, and that just has simple, not the gate, but a simple what do you call this?
EPEX or
expander on it.
Expander, yes.
Expander on it. So just a very light gate, I guess you could call it. That's totally what you're hearing on stage
with kind of a subtle
within the Zoom stage is totally different. It's totally different from what is going out to the broadcast.
Those of us on the panel were just hearing that, and what's going out to the broadcast goes over a different path. Is that what you're saying? So those of us that were monitoring on Zoom are hearing one thing, and those that are monitoring on YouTube are hearing something else. Okie dokie.
There you go. You heard it here. Let's go to the next question.
Pedro G. Gonzalez III from Oklahoma City says, for the Sonect SoundWire, how much noise is introduced in the interface?
Ronnie.
Well, it's very, very, very little as to what I expected. it is, of course, not up where, the really, really high-end converters are, both based on the available space for converters inside these small, tiny plugs, etc. And it is much better than most other interfaces I am used to be using when in a pinch in a place like this, and definitely better than what else you can have going out from your laptop or 3.5 millimeter adapter, etc. So it's kind of in between the professional range and the very, very unprofessional way of doing it. Another thing, just don't plug anything into your 3.5 millimeters in a venue. You will have problems that could not be solvable. There are people that have done really, really extensive tests. One of those that had done the most thorough one is a guy called Dave Ratt, and is in his member site. He has a really extensive review of this product, and if you like to have all these numbers in detail, just watch that video, and you'll have everything you need.
Alrighty, next question.
Next one comes in from Tlaloc Lopez Waterman in San Jose, California, and he asked, does Sound Devices offer any Dante-enabled devices?
Go ahead, Mickey.
Yeah, so the 888 and also the Scorpio mixer recorders do have Dante built in, as well as the A20 Nexus and this announced Super Nexus receivers have Dante as well.
Go ahead, Courtney.
And if you're shopping around for used equipment, they did have a legacy recorder, the 970, that takes SATA drives. This also supports Dante and AES-3, 64 Dante tracks and 64 MADI tracks at up to 64-track recording on removable SATA drives that plug in behind that video screen right there. Oops, sorry for the breakup. I'm going to have to reboot here soon. All right. But you might be able to find some of those in used equipment, but I don't know how well they're still supporting them. They don't make them anymore.
Go ahead, Mickey.
Yeah, I'd say, Courtney, it's very difficult to find used 970s because everyone loves them. And if Paul Isaacs is still listening, please bring back the 970. It is still my favorite large multi-track recorder, very reliable box, and it's the go-to for large studio-based reality shows.
Alrighty, next question.
From Raj Chandil in Los Angeles says, trying to connect an iPad Pro to bring audio in for an app and send it out to a mixer. Also want to charge, I guess, the iPad. Any new dongles or recommended workflows?
Mickey?
Yeah, I've been doing this for years with my iPad to play out walk-in music or house music from Spotify or my iTunes music. I use a Dante Avio adapter for that, and both with the older Lightning connectors and also the current generation of iPads with USB-C connectors, you can use USB hubs with them. So or the Lightning to camera adapter to be able to plug in a USB audio interface, as well as a power source so that you can keep the iPad powered at the same time.
Alrighty, next question.
Your last question for today from TJ Worrell in Minneapolis, Minnesota. What piece of grip or auxiliary kit have you seen at the show that is a must-have? Arms, tools, meters, test equipment, etc.
Well, none of us are there, so we haven't been able to see. Actually, I did see some cool Tilta. So Adorama is also doing some great coverage, and they stopped by the Tilta booth and talk about some iPhone cages. So when we were starting to talk about the wireless microphones for the Professor, it just dawned on me that I need to add that to my cart as soon as I see it available. But they've got a great new cage that'll hold that wireless ME or wireless Go microphone. So take a look at Adorama's videos for some of the new stuff that they've come that just looks armored. I mean, it's top quality gear. Anybody else have anything else that they saw that was like a must-have? All right, let's jump. Actually, we got time for one more.
Okay, let's sneak one in under the wire. David from Denver, Colorado says, I'm building a home studio using a Sony A7R3 with a 35 millimeter GM. I'm not sure what that stands for, but that I already have. I am thinking of adding, a second and possibly a third camera. I will be recording live. What cameras could I look at to be more budget friendly than my current? Sorry about the phone.
Mickey.
So with that, I'd probably look into the Sony A6400 line, or if you want something even more budget friendly, perhaps the ZVE 10 camera. Both of them have interchangeable lenses, APS-C sensors. Though I am a fan of the buy once, cry once mantra, so I would either stay at the same, and I believe Ronnie's showing one of those cameras, the ZV-10. It looks like I would perhaps consider, if you don't need it right now, be a little patient and save up and get either the same camera or something higher. And that has been my what I try to do for all my gear acquisitions. I try to get more of the same or get something higher, and I try to be patient and just save up the funds for that.
Alrighty, with that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you to the panelists for coming on. I think that was still a great little powerful second hour of audio questions and audio detail. I mean, hearing what is going on the floor and getting some clues as to not only how to mic somebody, but also what we're using in the real world. And this stuff's high end. I mean, the Electro, have you heard any Electro hits? I think we've been pretty solid even without an antenna. Mickey probably would have done a little differently with the dipole or something, but that's for another show. We'll have to ask that question a little bit later. And the back end crew, thank you for cutting the show. Whoever TD'd today, I should probably look at the credits and see who TD'd, but thank you everybody in the back end crew. Thank you producers for asking the questions. For Bananas, on the Tlaloc Traversal, we had 79,000 miles. And that's 630 million bananas for scale. All right. See you guys in an hour at the live NAB coverage coming to you from Las Vegas. See ya.
Trails. See you in Vegas. Remember, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas until everybody comes home, and then everybody catches it.
And is live streamed on office hours.
Yeah, it sneaks out that way.
There's a leak.
See on Zoom and on YouTube and through little tiny pixels moving across fiber and Cat5 and 6 and Wi-Fi. And
through the 70 different connections that happen in our booth. Yes. I'm going to have to reboot.
Yeah, do that. I'm looking forward to listen to Dante and what they are having up their sleeve.